Hello everyone, DM Johnny here from Dungeons & Dice, and today we're going to go over some Baldur's Gate 3 items that you should not hesitate to add to your Dungeons & Dragons game. Let's get started. First item is going to be the Falar Aluv, which I just call the Singing Sword. It's currently on Karlach. It does give you a +1 to performance, and it's a +1 weapon. It's kind of for a Blade Bard, I guess. But the big thing is the Melody, which is a class action that you can do in combat. I guess you could do it out of combat as well. You get the Shriek, which basically, now these are both actions for the record, and you can only pick one. The sword shrieks, and then everything within 6 meters, I don't know, 15 feet, maybe 10 feet, depending on how you want to do it. They get a 1d4 penalty to Charisma, Wisdom, and Int saving throws, and when they are hit, they also take an additional 1d4 thunder damage. On the other hand, you can get yourself a mini Bless, which you get a 1d4 on all attack rolls for 10 feet for your allies, and a 1d4 on all Charisma, Wisdom, and Int saving throws, and it lasts 5 turns. So this is great, obviously on a Blade Bard, but it's also great pretty much on anybody. That's a 1d4 on attacks, plus a little bit of extra, especially on a Paladin if you already have advantage on some saving throws because of the auras. It's just great. Once per day, you get a little extra boost, and it takes action. I really like this sword. Next, we're going to go with the Deathstalker Mantle. I would adjust this to only once per day, but once per turn, basically you kill an enemy, you become invisible, being shrouded in primeval darkness. So again, make sure you can do that like once, maybe twice per day, and the invisibility only lasts 2 turns. So even if like they do it and try to do some like stealing, it's like, dude, you got to be fast. This is just good to get into position, get yourself an advantage, maybe hide from being attacked. Once per day, twice per day at max. Next, we're going to go with something that's not quite as evil, and it's the Gloves of Heroism. Basically, when you use your Channel Divinity, you gain Heroism on yourself. Now, you should, in theory, have either a Paladin or a Cleric in your group who will likely be using Channel Divinity, and giving themselves Heroism when they use it is going to be useful. I think Heroism is by default temp HP equal to proficiency modifier or something. I would just maybe make it like a flat 5. And Heroism is concentration. Maybe you just say you get the buff of Heroism, but you don't get to restore temp HP every single time. So just give them a flat 5, and then the advantage against like Frighten or whatever. Just a little buff to Channel Oath, which I really like. Of course, you could also give them this freaking mace that lets you get a level 6 Sunbeam, but that's probably a bit too powerful. Instead of that, maybe you want to go with the Moonlight Glaive, which is a normal D10 plus 1d4 radiant. It also basically has light on it permanently, and it kind of gives like a moon glow, which is really cool, and it's +2. But what I really like about it, and I would probably make this up to your proficiency modifier, is the Moonlight Butterflies, which is the weapon special ability. So when you use Moonlight Butterflies, it does do a little bit extra damage, but what it does is the spectral butterflies, even when the corpse is dead apparently, float around, causing a bunch of light, which is cool. It's really visually appealing, but the big thing is that you get advantage on all attacks against the creature. I don't remember what the game says, but I would probably say you can use it up to your proficiency modifier, and I would say it lasts until the start of your next turn. So you get a full round of advantage. Most of you are going to be flanking anyways, but this helps with your ranged characters to get an advantage for once. Another one I want to shout out is just the staffs, the magical staffs in general. They always seem to have one spell attached to them. I like that. I would let it so your player can choose, right? Like that staff I have right now gives me a free fireball. That's probably too strong. But the Crone's one's a Ray of Sickness. That's a level 1 spell. That's not powerful. So I'd probably adjust it and be like, I'd call it a Catalyst staff, and then be like, hey, pick a level 1 spell, you put it in that staff. You can't change it, but you get to cast it once per day for free, or a level 2 or a level 3, whatever level you want to hand out. Give your mages a little bit of love, because we all know spell slots can be a bit rough. Next, we're going to go with the Spectator's Eyes, which give you Ray of Fear and Wounding Ray, both of which is a Spectator skill based on their eye stalks. You could also do Paralyze Ray or Confuse Ray, because those are both Spectator things as well. And basically what these do, the Ray of Fear, exactly what it sounds like, make a DC check or you are feared. I'd make it a little bit high because it's Spectator's Eye. And then Wounding Ray it's actually nerfed in Baldur's Gate. It's only 2d8, even though it's a level 3 spell. Typically it's 3d10. I would make it 3d10. Once per day, you get to choose which one of these rays you want to shoot. Next, we're going with the Coruscation Ring. I'm not entirely sure how this is pronounced, but what it does is when you deal spell damage, you put a radiant orb on a target, which kind of makes them glow. And what this does is based upon, so I'm in a warlock and I use Eldritch Blast. So if I hit 2 Eldritch Blasts, I get 2 spell damages, and that means that creature has -2 to its attack. I would probably not make it every single spell attack because that's going to add up really fast. I would say, hey, you can do this once per day and it will be minus your proficiency modifier. But you got to choose and you got to hit. So that's how I would do it. Basically, you can do it once per day. When you hit with a spell, you then can they have minus to your proficiency modifier until, I don't know, the end of their next turn or whatever. So if it's 4, for instance, then they'll have -4 to their attack rolls until the end of their next turn. Easy peasy. Next, we're going with the Surgeon's Subjugation Amulet, and when you crit, you will paralyze a humanoid target for 2 turns. Important that you realize that is only humanoids, otherwise this thing's super OP. It's once per long rest, and critting, I mean, once you paralyze something, it's going to be crit by melee fighters anyways, but I think this is a pretty cool one, once per day. Maybe you even just give it like 3 charges, and you can only use 1 per day, and then once the charges are done, there's no more paralyzed power in it. Paralyze is very powerful, but I like this. I like doing things on crits outside of just more damage. Next, we'll go with the Shield of Devotion. This does give you 1 extra level 1 spell slot, which is going to be massive on a Paladin, but also not bad on a Cleric. Kind of useless on anything that doesn't use magic. But what I like about this is you can use your reaction to try and knock a target prone, assuming they fail a dexterity saving throw. And for my fighters, a lot of my frontline people, typically they have another reaction, so I don't mind using this to burning the reaction, I mean. Also, you get aid. I would probably make that only you can do that to 1 person, because aid's kind of strong. It's not concentration, and you get temp HP. I think it's only 5, but still, that's a lot of temp HP if you're going to be giving it to multiple targets. All right, last one we're going to go over, I think number 10, is True Love's Embrace, but this is actually 2 items at the same time because you need this and you need the other ring, and basically they need to be equipped to 2 different people. The True Love's Embrace, you can basically do a warding bond. And what that does is if the other person has the other ring on, they get resistance to all damage, and then you take half of the damage they take. So here's the second one, True Love's Caress. With this, you can receive the warding bond. And you get 1 to AC, 1 to saving throws, and resistance to all damage, but each time you are hit, the spellcaster takes the same amount of damage. And it says spellcaster, but my fighter's using it on my paladin. So yes, that character takes half damage, but then the other character takes the same amount of damage. So really, you're not getting a resistance, you're just getting extra AC and an extra saving throw. It's not concentration and it lasts until a long rest, but it also takes up attunement slots. And here's the thing, you can basically ignore the person that has the ring on as the DM and then attack the person who has the warding bond. And once they're defeated, that ring becomes useless. But in the meantime, that character is going to take a whooping, assuming that you can actually hit the person with warding bond on. Alright, there you go. I believe that's 10 magical items from Baldur Gates 3 that you can add to your D&D game this weekend and not have any issues with. Alright, thank you to my patrons, and if you're my $5 patrons, you're going up on the board right now. Appreciate you all. I'll probably be back next week with another video, but if you liked what you saw and got what you needed, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Later, Gators.